All right. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Once and for All, Still Forever. All right. First, I'd like to give shout outs to my boy, Still Jedi, Still Logic, Still Twins, Still Cypher, and Renegade. But let's get down to business. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, presumably Antonio Brown. What a mess. Okay. First and foremost, let me go back to something that I'm familiar with, and that's the military. And I think I can say I'm familiar with it, knowing that I've spent the last 26 years of my life serving in it. Okay. Within the military, there's rules, regulation, guidelines, standard operating procedures, otherwise known as SOPs. And for every decision that is made, there's a consequence that comes along with the decision that one may choose to make. I'm going to use that to break this down. Okay. In the military, there's different levels of leadership. From E1 to E4, they're basically known as the worker bees. From E5 to E9, they're basically known as the foreman of the company. From O1 to O3, they're known as lower management. From O4 to O6, they're known as middle management. And from O7 to O10, they're basically known as the owners or the generals. If a E3 disrespects an a E4, that E4 can technically have him disciplined and handled or punished for his blatant disrespect. If a E9, which is a command sergeant major, decides to disrespect an O1, although it may not be likely, anybody that's military can all pretty much know what I'm saying. Um, uh, a second lieutenant is really not gonna be able to get a E9 discipline, but for the better, just for the better purposes of making the statement, technically he or she could. Okay, if a lieutenant disrespects a colonel, light bird, a full bird, or even a captain, they can have this lieutenant disciplined for their disrespect and the decisions that they chose to make. If any rank, even under a general, decides to disrespect a general, you can pretty much, your career is done. Stick a fork in you, go home. No matter who you are and what rank you were, you were not at least a 1-star general or above, your career is done. It doesn't happen like this because when you make it to the rank of 1-star general, you have so much discipline and respect and get right that you wouldn't even think about disrespecting a 2, 3, or 4-star general. So we're not even going to indulge in that. But the issue with Antonio Brown, the first thing that's wrong with that is he doesn't know his place. And a lot of you may be looking at me saying, "Hey, shut your mouth. You're Uncle Tom. You're a sellout. Whatever, blah blah." Antonio Brown's one of the greatest wide receivers ever to play the game. Okay, but how many Super Bowls have he produced for us? Matter of fact, how many Super Bowls have any of the top 3 wide receivers in the league produced for their franchise? Now, some people may disagree with this, that, or the other, but for the better sake of saying, and I'm a Steeler fan, I'm a franchise fan. I'll get back to that. Antonio Brown, Julio Jones, and DeAndre Hopkins have to be arguably considered the top 3 wide receivers in the league. Okay? But there's a difference. Me being a franchise fan, I'm totally opposed to the player fan. And I'll explain that. A franchise fan, and shout out once again to Steel Jedi, because me and him once had this discussion several months ago. A franchise fan basically is in love with the franchise, meaning the name brand: Steelers, Texans, Rams, Chargers, Jets, Browns. You're a franchise fan as opposed to being a player fan. Ray Lewis, Jerry Rice, Joe Montana, Walter Payton, Dak Prescott, Carson Wentz, whoever. Okay. If you're a player fan, then when that player gets hurt or injured and can no longer play again, or makes it through a lustrous career and retire, then you need to stop loving the sport that you were a player fan in, whether it was basketball, Michael Jordan, baseball, Babe Ruth, football, Troy Aikman. These players are either retired or dead. So if you are a player fan, you need to stop loving the sport that you love that player in, because they're no longer playing or they're dead. And if you say, no, I'll just find somebody else to like, then you're not a franchise fan. Me, on my part, I'm a franchise fan. Okay? What I mean by that is this. I don't give a flying flip or hootin' nanny who comes and play for the black and gold. It can even be Tom Brady, Ray Lewis, if he was still playing, or whoever. If you wearing that black and gold, I got you. But Ben Roethlisberger, Antonio Brown, Juju, God forbid, anybody on the Steelers staff, T.J. Watt, it doesn't matter. If they leave the black and gold and go play for any other 31 teams in the National Football League, I wish them no hurt, harm, or danger, or short career, or any injuries, or anything of that nature. But I don't root for you anymore. You're not in the black and gold. Antonio Brown has been allowed to get away with murder for years. Okay? He might be one of the arguably greatest wide receivers in
I didn't understand that.
in the National Football League. But how many Super Bowls have we won with him? Le'Veon Bell might be arguably one of the greatest running backs in the league. One of the greatest running backs. How many Super Bowls we won with him? Yeah, the Eagles had Jay Ajayi, but he wasn't Le'Veon. Yeah, they had Nelson Aguilar, the wide receiver Aguilar, but he wasn't Antonio Brown. Tom Brady took Ben Hogan, Nick Hogan, the Hogan man that played for the Patriots, took him to a Super Bowl and made him look like he was a household name, like he should have been one of the top 5 receivers in the National Football League. Let me tell you something some of these other wide receivers can say that Antonio Brown, Julio Jones, and even Deshaun Jackson can't say. Yeah, my name is Hogan, but I got a Super Bowl. Yeah, my name is Aguilar, but I got a Super Bowl. Denver, I don't even know none of their receivers, but they can say, I got a Super Bowl. Julio, Antonio, and DeAndre can't say that. So what is the point of winning the battle and losing the war? Same thing I used to tell my soldiers. Do you want to be rich or do you want to be wealthy? A lot of them didn't even understand. They said, I want to be rich. Rich is having wads of money readily accessible and in your pockets. Being wealthy is Oprah Winfrey, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, people that go to bed and they go to bed tonight with $100 million, well, $20 billion in their bank account, and when they wake up in the morning, it's $25 billion in their bank account. Why? Because their money has made money for their money while they were asleep. So I say to all sports fans, period, do you want to be rich or wealthy? Meaning, do you want to be rich in talent? You got Antonio Brown, DeAndre Hopkins, Julio Jones, and Amari Cooper, all on the same football team, but they can't win a Super Bowl to save their life. Or would you rather have Juju Smith-Schuster, James Washington, and two unknowns that win you multiple Super Bowls? You be the judge of your own character. Now, I don't know anything about NFL contracts. Never seen one. Don't even know what they're structured like. Don't even know if they're APA format, MLA, or any other type of writing style. But there needs to be things included in there like incentives for one of the positions I keep up with, running backs. If you're a running back and you get us 1,000-yard season today, this year, we'll throw in an extra $1 million. Or if you get over a 1,500-yard rushing season and 3 touchdown catches, we'll give you an extra $3 million on whatever your contract is. Because there's incentives for them to do better. There should be incentives to keep players doing better. If you do this, or you do that, or you do this or that, that has a negative light on us as an organization, we harbor the latitude to do this, this, and this, and this to you. So if you're Instagramming, FaceTiming, what's going on in the locker room was supposed to be private, then we as an organization reserve the right to do A, B, C, D, E, F, and G to you. You want to miss meetings? You want to miss scheduled practices? Then we reserve the right to do this, this, and this to you. Because you made your decision, now we will make ours. You made your choice, now we will make ours. And another thing that needs to be addressed is brotherhood and camaraderie. Okay? In the military, the army in which I served, we believed in leaving no man behind. No matter if you was the best of man or the worst of man, you were a teammate. You were a comrade. You were a fellow veteran. And under no circumstances, no matter what we agreed or didn't agree on, disagreed or agreed upon, it didn't matter. You were one of us, and we did not leave you behind. We did not let you down. We did not show up. This is a travesty. And as long as we allow it to go on, it will continue. Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell has been two of the biggest disappointments to the Steelers organization since I've been watching them since the mid-70s. Shannon Sharpe said something, or quote something to the effect of, character outweighs talent when the talent has no character. That's Antonio Brown. Michael Jordan even figured out after years of jumping from the top of the key line, slam dunking, tongue hanging out of his mouth, doing all these wonderful, spectacular in-air acrobatics. It wasn't getting him anywhere. He wasn't winning no rings. So until he developed the mentality of the Batman Robin scenario, Mike didn't start winning. But with the help of people like Tony Kukoc, Steve Kerr, Bill Cartwright, Dennis Rodman, Mike started to win. And the year that Michael Jordan wasn't in the league, I forget if it was because of his father being murdered or whatever. But Michael Jordan wasn't even in the league, let alone on the Bulls roster. And it was Scottie Pippen's team now. Because Scottie had been bitching and crying about everybody's up, Mike's cracked. What about the rest of us? So they gave him his shot. And Scottie Pippen cracked under pressure. And what did Scottie Pippen do? That particular year, went and had a seat on the bench. And even though the Bulls didn't go to the NBA Finals or win it that year, if it had not been for Tony Kukoc, a Robin player, a support player, a team player, the Bulls wouldn't even made it to the postseason that year. But because Tony Kukoc was so unselfish that he chose to fight with his brothers, then abandon them, they at least made it to the playoffs. Antonio Brown didn't even have that consideration for his team members. Would I be mad, upset, or sad if they traded Antonio Brown? No. Because like I said, I'm a franchise fan, not a player fan. Because unless that one player is out there hiking the football to themselves, throwing the football to themselves, catching the football to themselves by themselves, blocking for themselves, tackling for themselves, and doing everything that the other 23 members, no, 11 is 22, 21. So unless that one player, no matter who they be, Ray Lewis, Antonio Brown, Joe Montana, Walter Payton, Ben Roethlisberger, Carson Wentz, Mahomes, Jared Goff, whoever, unless one player can go out there and fulfill the jobs of the other 21 players that would be on the offensive and the defensive side, you not the franchise. The team name and the players that surround you are. Get rid of him. Dead money. You're not winning with him, so why keep him around? To further eat away at your bones as a cancerous tumor? Same thing with Le'Veon. Because, see, it doesn't hurt my feelings at all. I don't care that Le'Veon and Antonio Brown leave. But I will tell you this. If Antonio Brown, God forbid, I really never want this to happen. But let's say Antonio Brown goes to the dark side just like James Harrison. And he has a phenomenal outbreak year. They win a 6th Super Bowl with him. It's not because of Antonio Brown and his skill. It's because of the discipline that is already in place in Foxborough. Because I guarantee you, he going to Foxborough, he won't pull this bullshit with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. Because they'll cut him just as quick as they signed him. Because they'll let him know we was winning without you. So we don't need you to win again. When organizations value players over teamwork and winning, they will lose every time. Enough about Antonio Brown because he is not a leader. Enough about Le'Veon Bell because he is neither that. He is neither that either. In my line of work, 26 years and running, a leader never leaves his soldiers or his brothers behind. A leader never lets his team or his brothers down. The only way that happens, they're dead in the line of duty. And last time I checked, I didn't see Antonio Brown or Le'Veon Bell lying dead on the field anywhere. So you're not a leader to me. Because you left your team and your brothers behind. Let me go ahead and finish up with what was else on my mind. The upcoming draft. Okay. I'm going position, not player, because as we all know in the draft, things are subject to change at a drop of a hat. There could be a team trading to move up to grab this player over that player. This player may fall or drop due to poor performance at the combine or unknown hidden injury or something of that nature. So I'll go by position. But the first thing we need to do is non-exclusive franchise tag Bell. With that, I believe we could at least get a first-round pick this year and a first-round pick next year. Why? Because Bell sat out a whole year. And let's all be honest. Whether you're a Steeler fan, favorite, franchise player fan, or just a sports fanatic, we all know the reason why and Le'Veon Bell sat out like he did. Le'Veon Bell is injury prone. You can say we're playing the Cincinnati Bengals tomorrow. Already he's got a pulled groin muscle, his neck, his back, his ass. It doesn't matter. We playing Cincinnati and he has to face Vontaze Burfict. He's going to get fucking injured. And he knows that as well as anybody else. So he's doing like most sensible-minded sports athletes do. Let me save myself, sign the best and biggest contract that I can. And once I do that, then if I get hurt, I'm guaranteed for the next 3, 4, 5 years to get paid whatever. $10-12 million a year for the next 3-4 years that I'm not playing because I've had a career-ending injury. or season-ending injury, whichever one you want to pick. So nobody's stupid with Le'Veon. He's just trying to get the biggest bang for his buck, basically. Antonio Brown, think about it, y'all. And I'm not taking anything away from Khalil Mack. Nothing whatsoever. But if Khalil Mack can get, if Oakland can get 2 first-round picks for Khalil Mack, then I know we damn sure should be able to get 2 first-round picks for Antonio Brown. So just think about it, Steeler Nation. Think about it. Don't sit here and talk about the analyticals and just think about what I'm saying. We franchise tag Le'Veon Bell. One of the teams in the top 5 picking this year in the draft decided to pick him up. For Le'Veon, that's at least a first round this year and a first round next year. So just right there with that trade alone, the Steelers have 2 first-round picks. And let's say we trade Antonio Brown either to the Oakland Raiders, who have 3 first-round picks, or we trade him to, I want to say, there's another team in the first round that has 2 picks, 2 first-round picks. Right? We trade him to Oakland, or we trade it to this other team in the first round that has 2 first-round picks. Oakland has 3. So we trade Antonio Brown to either one of those teams and pick up that one team's 2 first-round picks, or we grab excuse me, or we grab 2 of Oakland's 3 first-round picks. Do the math. We already traded Le'Veon for a first round this year and next year, and we had 2 with our original pick and Le'Veon. That's 2. We trade Antonio Brown to Oakland or the other team that has 2 first-round picks. And now the Pittsburgh Steelers are sitting pretty with 4 first-round picks. Now, if you just really want to be jiggy, and I feel that the top 2 needs on this team is cornerback, inside linebacker, cornerback. And then we need to eventually address the tight end because Jesse James ain't the answer. Vance McDonald can't stay healthy. But to me, if I was GM, my first 3 priorities on this team would be cornerback, inside linebacker, cornerback, and then maybe a tight end after that. And I know you say, we just traded Antonio Brown. Okay. You work that tight end you just drafted as that off receiver. Because you still have Juju, James Washington, and Switzer. And you can always come back in the. But think about it, y'all. We got 4 first rounds. We got 4 first rounds. So we come in, we pick up cornerback, inside linebacker, cornerback. One of those 2 with the first 2 picks in the first round, no matter however you want to chop it up. With the 3rd pick in the 4th round, in the first round, we come back and get a tight end. And with the last pick in the first round, which would be 4, we can snag our wide receiver to replace Antonio Brown. That's just the first 4 picks in the first round. We still got a 2nd round, a 3rd round, a 4th round, 2 6th rounds, and a 7th round. And if you're smart, you trade 6, 6, 7, and 4 and move back up into the 3rd round. So now you have 4 first rounds, 1 second round, and 2 third rounds. 7 players all picked within the top 3 rounds of the draft that could come in and start day 1 or at least take over after week 4. But what about Ben Roethlisberger? He wants to play another year or two. We got Mason Rudolph and Josh Dobbs. And I'm telling you right now, don't sleep on Dobbs. If you don't consider him a starting quarterback, he's a damn good secondary quarterback. To me, it would be like the Tom Brady Jimmy Garoppolo scenario without one getting butt hurt over the other. We need to think about this. We need to fix it. We need to cut the cancer from the tissue, which is our foundation in our franchise. We need to get rid of Antonio. We need to get rid of Le'Veon. We need to acquire draft picks to pick young and upcoming humble players, cocky but humble, that are going to come in and compete and help us put seventh heaven on the shelf. Anything less is unacceptable. This is still forever. I'm out.